says it's preparing to live stream meeting. So this could be on there, but I'll let you know for sure when I see our faces pop up on there.
I'm glad it's you doing that, Mandy, not me.
There was a learning curve for sure. Okay. We aren't moving on there, but we're on there. And it looks like we're frozen, but I'm assuming that we're not. So I'll just go with that. So my name is Mandy and I am with COVID Recovery Iowa. And today I have with me Kim Miller from UNI, who is going to talk to us about reading, the love of reading. And she is even going to give away some books and some other cool things to go along with the books during this live session. So we'll talk more about that as we go. But the book giveaways for anybody that's watching live today, and COVID Recovery Iowa, just want to say, is emotional support and connecting people to resources for anyone who's been impacted by the pandemic and derecho. And we get to provide cool resources to you, like Kim Miller from UNI. So I know she has a PowerPoint she's going to share with us today. Have at it, Kim. Introduce yourself. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mandy. Yes, I'm at the Department of Teaching, actually, at UNI. So I teach the teachers. I work with the students that are going into the pre-service teaching, so level 1 and level 2 students, they call them. And I'm in many schools in Waterloo and Cedar Falls. I also have taught in the special education department, and that's my background. I did teach 30 years in special education, 27 of those at Price Laboratory School on the UNI campus, and 3 years in Exira, Iowa. So I started out in a small rural school and loved it, and have continued my love of working with students.
To live stream. I think my Facebook was talking to us at the same time. That's okay. It looks like we have half a dozen people watching us live, so that's good. So, okay, UNI teaching department, teaching the teachers. And yeah. What have you been teaching them this year? What about their, as far as the pandemic, have things been different as far as what you've been teaching them, or what you've seen, what you observed?
Well, it's been a whole new learning curve. So last spring, when all of us were scrambling and had to start learning new technologies and move everything to, Zoom is what I've been doing. It's my life. But then this year's been different. So last year we were, my students it was crazy. They were all by Zoom. And this year, at the beginning, first semester, about a third of my students were also teaching virtually, and 2/3 were in the schools, but it's way different. And this semester, we're back to somewhat semi-normal, but certainly screens on the desks in Waterloo, plastic screens that the kids take around with them. Certainly the social distancing, and the whole idea has just changed for my students, that students should not be handling the same things. Group work changed, so it's not small group work, looking more at whole group and keeping kids apart. And I'm happy to say that we've all been safe, and I have not been in a classroom that has been quarantined or shut down, and none of my students have been in the schools with any COVID as well. But it definitely has changed the dynamics, and certainly what we're doing technology-wise with our students, with UNI students, but also with the students in the schools.
And so overall, just has it been a negative impact on what they've been able to learn, what they've been learning, or just a curveball and y'all had to adjust, and you feel like everybody's successfully learning or what they need to be learning?
I think it's a good, bad, and indifferent, I guess. There's certainly good things. Of the use of technology is going to stay, and we needed to do that. We needed to get that little shot in the arm to make sure we're using technology and using it wisely. That will continue, but it can't be all technology. Well, especially young students, kindergarten, first grade, very inappropriate to be on a screen for that long and to maintain their attention. I would just say, so watching kids and trying to keep their attention has been the biggest thing technology wise as well. But you do definitely have to have retooled in what you're going to be doing. So I am happy to say, though, I think that face-to-face is the best learning tool. And I am glad our students have been in there. when Thanksgiving, when Waterloo and Cedar Falls shut down for at least a week, they felt much more prepared because they were able to talk to their kids about technology. Their students had the technology devices. They knew the programs that they were using, so they were much better prepared. And more students got hotspots as well. So that in Waterloo, they were given hotspots at their home if they did not have internet access, as well as a computer. The problem you have is that if everyone in the family is on the computer, or if you have multiple children, that was when it was most difficult. So some families might have gotten 2 hotspots, but that was still not enough if they had 6 children or if their family members were also working on the internet. So I'd say that was the biggest thing at home, was that situation, to be able to have the internet access, but certainly the pressure on all parents and family members to keep school going. And I think now people really do appreciate teachers. As many jokes as you saw out there about parenting, parents trying to be teachers, it is definitely a very valuable role in life.
Yeah, it was a real reality check having to try, and I have 3 kids, and especially during that lockdown in last spring, to try and meet the needs of all 3 of them successfully. It was I did not do that very well. So absolutely. Parent teachers conferences, the first Zoom parent teachers conferences we had, I just wanted to say thank you and thank you and thank you to everyone that I met with, because I just could imagine how hard it was. So
As far as parent-teacher conferences, I think they had great turnout because of Zoom, because more family members could come actually join from work or wherever they were at for the 15-minute conference, and they didn't actually have to go into the school. So I think that was very beneficial, from that angle as well.
yeah.
I do say, back to your question though, Mandy, there has been great learning loss, and there are great gaps in learning. So now there's always been gaps in learning in your classroom. If you're a 3rd grade teacher, you've never taught just kids at 3rd grade level. You've always had a span, but now that span is way, way different. And teachers, again, this is another skill level that they have to then kick it up a notch. You have to be able to adapt to all students in your classroom. We've always had to do that, but now the gap is even, wider. And this summer is going to be a really important time for people to close that gap. So I know schools are offering things in the summertime. Libraries are offering things in the summertime. Take advantage of those, because we do have to fill those gaps so that doesn't continue on, up to your high school years and you still have those learning gaps.
That's great advice. Take advantage of whatever your school, your local libraries are offering this summer to help close that gap for whatever was missed this last year. That's excellent advice. So maybe we should move into talking about your passion, I would say, and I don't know you that well, but I would say your passion is about your love of reading. Am I right?
Got it.
Okay. And if for anybody that's watching, she's also reading a story right now that was pre-recorded over on our Tell Me a Story group. So you can check that book out. It's Breathe Like a Bear. But I think this would be a good time. Maybe that you're going to move to sharing your PowerPoint, and
Okay.
we could offer, if somebody would like to get a book sent to them from Kim Miller, she'll mail that to you. If you would send me a private message right now, I see we have one person commenting already, and I would say she needs a book for her 3-year-old, it sounds like.
Oh,
And so
fabulous.
if she could send me a private message with her address, and then I can get that to Kim. But I would say book number 1 has been given away, and
Oh,
book
fabulous.
number 2 can be given away to the next person that comments in the chat. And then again, private message me your email, your address, and we'll get that mailed to you.
So I was thinking about this. I actually read another book to get more ideas from this by Mem Fox, who's one of my favorite authors. And I came up with this acronym. I love acronyms. So special education loves things for memory tools. And I definitely like that creative side of it. So I came up with the word loves, because we do want that love of reading to happen. And what can you do as a family member, a caregiver, a parent, or a sibling as well? What can you do to instill that love of reading in the children? And I'd have to say, during this whole COVID, number one thing as a parent that you can do is just read to your child. Wow. That is over and over said in research, what a difference that makes. And it does start very young. So thank you to the 3-year-old, those people that just have babies, they talk about the difference even when you're pregnant, reading. And then I don't want to forget the older students to continue that reading up to the higher grades so we can still a love of reading as an adult too. So here's what I came up with. And I'll start and look through each of those. But the first one is learning language. That is one of the biggest things about reading to your child, because they're learning language. They're learning about words. They're learning about the sequence of words, the rhyming. They're learning the pronunciation of words and the vocabulary, what words mean. This is the biggest benefit of reading. It says average kindergartner now knows 2,200 speaking words and 20,000 words they understand. This is extremely important. You want all your children at kindergarten level start at this point. You don't want them behind in their words. And the biggest way you can do that is through reading to your child so they can learn the language through books. But that also sparks the conversation then that you have with your child about what words mean, how to say words, how funny words are or new words, and share your love of learning new language as well. Next one is often. You need to do it often. Never too soon to start. You should start right away when your baby's born. They say 3 books a day at the younger grades, and looking to see at one favorite book. Any of you out there that have had children know they have their favorite books, and you may get sick and tired of reading them. But very important to go back so they can get used to a book. They know how to read it. Actually, you may call it fake reading, whatever, but they've heard it so many times they can read it on their own. One familiar that you've read already, and one new book to expose them to. So it's always the question, where do you get your books at? So the library, again, just a great place to go to get books. Also, the schools are giving away books right now. I've been working this semester at Lowell Elementary in Waterloo, and before the kids had spring break, everybody got a book. So your schools give away books too, and you certainly have a library at their schools too. Looking to see at that 15 to 20 minutes a day, and this is actually, if you do that, that is 1.8 million words a year your child will be exposed to. And again, I don't want to miss the upper grades. Still reading to your child. I still read to my sons up until I'll probably say 6th grade. So we read every night so that they could still continue that love of learning in that language. Next, you want to add anything? Go ahead.
We just have a couple of comments. One is, I think you're already speaking to it, but Danielle is talking about preparing her 3-year-old for preschool. It just sounds, read as much as you can. And then she said they didn't have a very pleasant last night. It sounds like, so she said she felt like she went through about 70 books at bed.
Well, she's already probably getting very close to that 1.8 million words, which is fabulous.
And then Annette, it sounds like could use a book too. For what age, Annette? She just made a comment that language and reading, so true, though I had never thought about that. So we'll wait and see what Annette says for an age range for a book that she could benefit from. But another
I just have to say to the 3-year-old, books are a great thing when you're trying to calm down, you're trying to relax, you're trying to learn something, maybe about your feelings and how to express those feelings. But books are a great way for, an avenue for all of those things. Okay, voice is next. You want to have an animated voice when you read. You want to show expression so it's exciting. So the kids are, can actually enjoy what they're hearing. So you want to change your voice, make it high, make it low, make it loud, make it soft, change it, according to your characters and make your voice sound animated. You want to sound like the characters. So I put some faces up there because the characters may have all different feelings that you're going to have to express through your voice tone. And then in return, the kids then will join in that voice tone and the fluency of reading. So LOV, we're on to E. That has make it enjoyable. Don't make this a burden. This should be something the child wants to do. Show them that you like it, and so that they can see that they like it too. And you just want to read to them if they don't want to join in. Don't force them to read with you. Don't make it a teaching reading experience. Just make it an enjoyable read to them. And if they want to read along, that's great, but don't make them do that. We don't want this to be painful and torture and you become the reading teacher because your role is just to make that reading enjoyable. And last of all,
Annette
ahead.
is interested in a book for an 18-month-old grandson.
Oh, great. Okay. 18 months, great time to help them with their attention span and to get the enjoyment of reading at a very young age. Shared reading is last in that love of learning, and that is the idea that you read to your child. So you're making that enjoyable to them. Now I show this gentleman over here, he's actually pointed to words. So you may be pointing things out in the book so that you can learn from those things, but it's you doing the talking and asking them questions to join into that. You can read parts together. So once you've read it to them, you could read a part of it together. You could be, if it's a younger child, and I'm thinking about the 18-month-old and the 3-year-old, you point to the word so they get the understanding of what a word is, and you can do that together. And then if the child wants to, the child could reread a part then too, after they've heard it several times. So it's not just on the spot reading, that they can join in reading with you as well. And especially great on a book that they love and a book that they're very familiar with. So they already have it in their mind how that goes. This is just, go
I'm
ahead.
very familiar with that repeat request of books. With all 3 of my kids, so we had that, and there were definitely times where I was like, can we please read a different one?
Yes. My husband always tells the story when he was reading their book, and he got a little bored with them, and he tried to change the words sometimes, and the kids were like, that's not what it says. So they definitely know by hearing a book several times. This is just one I just want you to know that older kids can enjoy reading too. I had flashlights, we shut the lights off, some things that you can do older kids too to make sure that it's engaging, and it's choice what they choose and what they want to read as well. And so this is just a great resource. If you want to hear some great animated readers, this is a free storylineonline.net. And I'm going to put together a 1-page handout of this that I'll give to Mandy that she can send you if you want to, or she can attach this. But I just listed 4 great books on this. This is actually actors, actresses, actors, I think is the term you use now, that are reading the books. So this first one, As Fast as Words Could Fly, actually a great story. This is for the upper grades. And it'll tell you on there too what grade level it is. But it is the idea of a young African-American child learning to type and what he was going through during the civil rights in the 60s, and a great read aloud for kids. I Need My Monster, which is a great book. This is read with great animation. I have that book behind me. In just a second, I'll show you. Zombies Don't Eat Veggies in Spanish. And had a gentleman reading this in Spanish. I had my students read this book in 3rd grade, and there are some Spanish words in the book that they use. This gentleman read the whole thing in Spanish. The last one, Quackenstein Hatches a Family, which is just a great idea about different families, different dynamics of families. And this one actually was read by Kristen Bell. I'll just show all this. I'll pull this up and show you the site. Can you see that?
Nope, you might have to stop share and reshare is probably how that might work.
I'll do it one more time. But Kristen Bell reads this one, just a great read aloud, Quackenstein. Can you see it now?
Not for me, but.
Okay, anyway, it's Storyline Online, and a great resource. If you want to have a book read by someone else that can model for you about the animation, and then you could have the book and then reread it again with the child after they do it online.
These are all new books to me, so I love books too, children's books, especially if they deal with that social emotional well-being. So thank you for all those new great ideas. Danielle says they see it. So even though it's probably because of the delay, I'm not seeing it, but Danielle can see your screen. So thank you, Danielle. There's a couple other people. How many more books can you give away, Kim? I think there's a couple more here. People.
I think I could go up to 6 books, and I'm going to show you what I have. I have 3 in just a second, but I think I could go up to 6. I don't know if we have any older or not.
So I think Bianca, it looks like, could use a book as well. Her 3-year-old. And we have a lot of young readers on here. 3-year-olds, 18-month-old, and Darlene. She's got her grandchildren. Our age ranges are 1, 2, 3, and 5. So
you're busy, very busy. So I do have for the younger grade, this is actually one of those board books, so it's a little heavier duty, but this one goes through bunny breaths. And on my read aloud, I go through these books by Kira Willie. And this one I just purchased just has bunny breaths. So it's going to go through and talk to you about the sniff, 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 and then breathe out. So I'm thinking again about the 3-year-old, if she's very upset, that you could be reading a book that would be doing a breathing technique like that. I also have Listen Like an Elephant, and how you would listen using your ears, of course, and your concentration. And then I have the whole book. This is what I did online, called Breathe Like a Bear, and it goes through many breathing techniques, and it's everything from being calm and relaxing to having energy and focus. So it's a great resource, which I actually have had many guidance counselors now that are wanting to use that as well. And then what I made for you too is a dice. So it goes along with Breathe Like a Bear. So you roll the dice, and then whatever it lands on. So if it is this one, which is the hot chocolate breath, then you would do this breath. So on there, it gives you a little short and condensed version of what the book says. So long breath in and slowly blow your hot chocolate. So you're gonna go, repeat it, and then at the end, you're gonna say, So it's got 6 of the breathing techniques. You just roll just to make it fun for your child, or your, if you're a caregiver, that you can roll and do that dice with them. Actually, I'm giving this to the guidance counselor at North Cedar, very good friend of mine, who's going to use this as well.
You're getting great feedback. Danielle says, "Oh my gosh, that rules." Annette would like it if you could give that site again with the examples. We can post it in the comments later. Or
I'll share my screen one more time, so hopefully they can see it. But yes, I will post that. So it is storylineonline.net, and this is a picture of Kristen Bell right here, that she was going to read that Quackenstein, and they have a variety of age levels and interests of topics of books on there that you can look up as well.
very good. So if you could send me a private message with your address, I can make sure and get that to Kim, and she's going to mail you those books, Bianca and Darlene and Annette and Danielle. And I think, if I'm counting right, that we're up to 5. So if we have one more person, I think Kim has a 6th book, correct?
Yes, you just can't have too many books, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. So if we have one more live viewer that wants to put a comment in there, Kim can get you that book, which is so kind and generous of you, Kim. A new thing for us here on Parenting in a Pandemic and COVID Recovery Iowa. It's very cool.
You can never have too many books. And one of the things that they say is, first of all, the more books, the better. But if your child just has the love of reading, we could wipe out illiteracy, that we could just have kids that could learn to read by somebody modeling that for them, often. So again, learning language, often, voice, changing your voice up, E, making it enjoyable, and S, shared reading, doing it together. You read to them, you could read together, and then they could read apart on their own, depending upon their comfort level and what they're doing.
Fantastic. Any questions for Kim before I let her go today? She has already stayed on longer than I asked her to, so I appreciate her time. If anybody has any last minute questions, again, so COVID Recovery Iowa, it's 1-800-447-1985 that people can call in if you need some of that extra emotional support during this pandemic and the aftermath of the derecho. We're here for you. You can also visit us at covidrecoveryiowa.org. And again, Kim, everybody says this is wonderful. Intertwined reading and language and culture she thinks that's amazing. So again, thank you for your time, and we'll put some additional information, links and stuff in the comments, some of the things that you talked about, and private message me with your addresses. And
I just have to say, happy reading, and make sure to take advantage of those summer programs wherever you see them at.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kim.
Have a good day, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.